wishlist Method of Entry now on Steam and get all the newest updates on our Discord. Also, follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. Method of Entry. Competitive first, realism follows.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Modern Boomer Podcast. It is Doc and Damon, and we are back in 2025. It is currently, what is it? The 11th of January.
10:34 Central, 11:34 Eastern, 9:34 Western.
Yeah.
And burning if you're on the Pacific Coast. Sorry.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers to the new year. We have been
busy. We both had circles. Look at this.
I know.
Look at Doc's got, so we got circles, dog. Circles.
I know. Bags and circles. I was looking at the, what's that?
No, go ahead. Continue.
I was looking at the directory for our, where we have everything saved. And it seems that we only did like 4 or 5 episodes last year.
It's been busy, man. It's been hard. No
That's
offense to the people who listen. I know we have some fans, few fans. Thank you guys who are fans, but life has been changing, ever changing. It's been a rough, what do you say, 6 months?
Oh my God.
2 years? I feel like it's been a rough 2 years.
I didn't like 2024 personally.
No, me neither.
It was like I got hit in the face with a blibbit. That's a shout out to my mom. And I say, what's a blibbit? And she said, that's a sock full of shit with a hole in the toe.
Monkey this is shoulder. What I'm drinking tonight. Yes.
I'm drinking some Woodford Reserve.
Sorry guys, I'm just topping up. I got a little watered down while we're waiting.
So I'll let you go first. Like, give us the updates. Like, what you said, you got a lot to talk about. We didn't want to taint it in pre-talk, so I don't know what he's going to say.
Well, I mean, I wasn't. We talk about men's health, so I wasn't going to talk about it, but I figured, because we go through men's health, we talk about men's struggles and problems like that. I figured I'd just be honest up front.
Sure.
I used to take a thing called Kratom, which was it was given to me as a supplement. That's how I found it. It's a leaf extract. I used to take a couple grams in the morning, 600 milligram capsules, 2 in the morning, 2 at lunch, 2 in the evening, and it was great. No problem with that. I moved to Texas and went to the head shop, which never trust head shop cashiers, guys. Don't do that. What's research. Head shop? Don't be. A head shop is where you buy like pipes and smoking utensils and vapes and nicotine stuff. Right? Paraphernalia. Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like being in there as is, but I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to continue to get my Kratom, and the guy was like, "Well, hey, listen, if you don't like taking the Kratom so much, try this thing called 7 ohms." And I was like, okay, sure. Like, what is it? And I talked to the guy, I'm asking, like, what is this? He's like, well, it's just an extract derivative. It's 20 milligrams. It's easier to manage, blah, blah, blah. What I didn't realize is that it's 13 times stronger than morphine. Okay. And it's an opiate antagonist. Okay. And I took it willy-nilly. And to be honest, I got full-blown addicted to it. I took it every day, 2 or 3 times a day. And started at about 10 milligrams up to almost 80 in a day, depending on ADS workload and shit like that. Because here's the thing, guys, I didn't know this. As somebody who's never really been a substance guy, never been a heavy drinker, sure, a little vaping, nicotine. Who doesn't have nicotine and caffeine in their system? Let's be honest. Everybody in America runs off caffeine and nicotine. America. So, but I found this stuff and I took it. And I remember the first time I took it, I was like, oh my God, my back pain's gone because I have disc degeneration. My muscle aches are gone. I'm hyper focused, and building programming a game kind of by myself. I needed the focus. I already program. I'm a software engineer. I'm staff engineer by trade. So doing that for 10 hours a day and then getting off work and immediately going and doing that for another 4 or 5 hours, I needed something, right? Sure. And when somebody offers it to you as a supplement, you're like, okay, this can't be that bad. And then, long story short, I woke up one day and I was like, why do I feel like shit all the time? I don't feel good in the morning. My body hurts. Like, what's happening? So I went on this big research path, and shout out to Doc, because this is why he's my best friend to this day. And I tell people this. I talked to my lady and I was like, I'm going to stop this stuff, because I realized that not only did it take the life out of me, it's been sedating me. I have not been the same person. I'm not going out. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not doing my hobbies. I just work. I take this shit, I work, and then I go to bed, right? And that's all I was doing. And I was so miserable for 2 years. I quit this stuff, right? Cold turkey, because that's how I roll. I'm a man of conviction and willpower, And so when I want to do something, I'm just going to do it, right? I'd rather be
Sure.
really miserable for a couple of days rather than miserable for months of titration. So I cold turkeyed it. And immediately, guys, my skin's crawling. I have temperature control issues. My back hurts. My joints hurt. I can't focus. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm not a crier. I'm finding myself tearing up at the color of trees and shit. It was an experience. And it got so bad that I messaged Doc and I was like, Doc, I need help. Something is wrong. And he's like, oh, 800 milligrams Motrin, 25, 50 milligrams of Benadryl when you want to go to bed, and a couple glasses of whiskey a night. That's what you need to do. And that's literally been, okay, for the record, guys, I'm off the Benadryl. I'm off the Motrin. I've got over the acute symptoms. So I started doing this research, and I realized that people who had fentanyl addictions, people who had heroin addictions, said that this was a worse withdrawal from the 7 ohms. Now, some of them took a lot more than me. In fairness, some of them took a lot more than I did. They were taking 120, 160, 180 milligrams a day. But yeah, guys, do not trust stuff from head shops. Listen, I hate to be a self-medicator. You know, I have my own, no offense to Doc, I have my own, it's not Doc, Doc's the ER doctor, but I have like kind of a fear of psychiatrists, or they're the ones that prescribe medications, right? Psychiatrists?
Correct. Yep.
Right. Because, you know, little backstory, and I don't want to go on too much about it because there's other things to talk about, but I went to psychiatrists for PTSD and stuff for my past, and they gave me venlafaxine, they gave me Adderall, they gave me buspirone, all these SSRIs, and all of them made me feel horrible. SSRIs always made me feel worse. The venlafaxine made me angry. And Doc, I'm sure he can speak to this because in the beginning of our ADS project, I was a tyrant. I was mean. I was mad all the time. I was like, what the fuck is everybody doing? Always pushing back, always arguing with people for no reason. And then, you know, they had Adderall on top of that, and they're making me do this blood work. And they're like, oh, now you have hypertension because of these medications. So I quit those, right? I cold turkey venlafaxine, which was stupid. Don't do that. If you have a doctor and you're taking a medication, titrate. So long story short, I'm like, you know what? I know who I used to be. I know the happy man I used to be, and I wasn't on anything. I was learning to deal with my own anxieties and depressions on my own. Sure, a couple glasses of whiskey a night, whatever. That's nothing. It's better to learn on your own. So I cold turkeyed it, and I had insomnia for 9 days. I didn't sleep for the first 7 days that I took off that stuff. And if it hadn't been for I had restless leg syndrome. What's the jerks? Like your body just jerks.
It's like myoclonic
jerk. Yeah. Which I've never had. Like there's a weird, like I couldn't sleep. My muscles felt like they had to move. The first 3 or 4 days, I did 100 push-ups every night. Every 20 minutes, I would do a bunch of push-ups to try to tire my arms out. Right before bed, I would like deadlift anything I could heavy, pick up whatever, right? Because I'm a big man. Try to tire my body out. And somehow the minute, and Doc, maybe you could explain this. I wouldn't notice it during the day, but the minute it would lay down and get comfortable and start to fade into that comfort, immediately my clonic jerks. And it would happen every 5-10 minutes. Now they don't happen anymore. Thankfully, they're gone. But the acute symptoms last about 7 to 8 days. And then after that, it's been mental health. I've had extreme depression, extreme anxiety, paranoia, guilt, fear, all this weird stuff. So the lesson here, guys, is talk to a doctor, talk to a therapist. And even though I just said I tried these medications, what I learned from that was that the doctors they were doing what they were told to do. I was telling them the symptoms I've had, but the symptoms I had were a byproduct of the 7 ohms. And they were not only were they medicating my normal issues, but they're also medicating these other issues that were brought on by the substance that I found. That's legal. There's nothing illegal. You can go buy it at a fucking gas. You go buy it at like a vitamin cottage, right? And so I'm 2 weeks now. I'm 16, 17 days. Haven't touched it. Have no interest in touching it. But be careful, guys. Be careful. Please be careful. It was miserable, and I'm still going through it, and it's been rough. So that was I stopped on I guess a couple days before Christmas, and I titrated quick. I did 2-week titration where I cut my dosage in half, went through horrible withdrawals in that, and then I cold turkeyed it, and then went through incredible withdrawals after that. And that's the first time for me as a human being, the first time I've ever been withdrawal on other than like the venlafaxine, but it's all different. It's different when it's controlled, right? So don't self-medicate. Go to a doctor, talk about your problems, and be honest with them. If I had told my doctors I was taking this stuff, they probably would have done different things. So please be careful. Yeah, be careful. It was miserable.
A couple of quick thoughts about that. One is that first of all, the treatment of withdrawal is not whiskey. just that's
a friend's
off
advice.
The cuff, like what do you have that might be able to like kind of cool this off a little bit? So
you. Yeah.
Don't take that for medical advice and say, Doc on the Modern Brewer podcast said I should be drinking whiskey. Don't do that.
Don't get drunk, guys. Don't get drunk. It's just it's a joke between friends.
But two things. One is that anything that alters your brain chemistry, and it's not just narcotics or alcohol. They do like a chronic change to your brain chemistry that when it's abruptly removed, or sometimes not even abruptly, but if it's not moved slowly enough, there is horrible prices to pay with withdrawal off of psychiatric medication. Doesn't have to be opiates. That's what Damon was talking about with the venlafaxine, which is Effexor. Like, that is not a medicine you want to just cut off cold turkey because...
No, and that was stupid of me, by the way, guys. That was stupid of me.
So, as an ER doc, I don't do a lot of psychiatry, but, psychologists are the docs, or, they're the providers that tend to just try to have you go to therapy. That's the cognitive behavioral therapy, group therapy, that kind of thing. A psychiatrist, did I say a psychologist? That is a psychiatrist prescribes medication, and I do feel there's a place for both of those because it's a very kind of complicated thing to do mental health. But a psychiatrist will go and look at your medications or look at your behaviors and try to diagnose you and put you in a bucket. Is this a guy paranoid schizophrenic? Is this ADHD? Is this just anxiety and depression? Is it, is this, somatoform disorder? Whatever. There's so many different kind of disorders. And then what medication, either by its purpose or by its side effects, might help change the situation. Because you're looking at a chemical change in the brain that is being assumed by a doctor who's taking care of you, followed by a medication which is supposed to alter or fix the assumption. And some of these things look very similar too, so it's not always so easy, and that's why there's so many different psychiatric medications.
Sure.
But it's funny you talk about you bought this stuff from a gas station, or not a gas station, but
I'll tell the story when you're done. How I found it. Yeah,
I had a guy come in on New Year's Day. I work New Year's Day. It's a bad day to work in the ER, New Year's Day. He's like, I'm like, he passed out like 3 times in like 2 hours. I'm like, he goes, I've never passed out before. He goes, I don't know. I bought this gas station mushrooms. I'm like, what does that mean? Because obviously, like, the real psychogenic mushroom things are, they're not legal. And on top of that, like
psilocybin.
Yeah, you probably can't just get them next to like, a pack of condoms and like some Big Red in a gas
it's like
station,
the boner
right?
pills. Yeah,
right.
Don't take it.
I guess maybe if you're out in the like Midwest and no one's around for like 350 miles, maybe you can. But this guy was messed up.
Yep.
This guy was messed up. He drank a half a bottle of champagne, and him and his lady did some what he called gas station mushrooms. I don't know if that's a pill or if it's some sort of edible thing.
No idea.
He goes, I didn't, he goes, I got it at a gas station. I didn't think it could be bad. I didn't think it would be a big deal. So he took it, and he's like losing consciousness. And it's a lot of these things, they're herbals. They're not FDA studied. Some of the stuff we don't know. Some of the stuff are agonists or antagonists, as Damon was referring to before, of different types of other medicines. It's the reason why people do. Do you ever hear of robo-tripping?
Yes, never done it because I'm not that person.
Because
but yes,
that's
the Hat Man with Benadryl.
That's like a cough medicine, right? So,
yeah.
But dextromethorphan, which is a common cough medicine, in high concentrations has opiate-like properties.
I didn't know that.
It's one of the reasons why a lot of these meds are now behind the counters of, not the Sudafed and the pseudoephedrine, that stuff. They make meth out of that, and then dextromethorphan could be like an opiate, and it behaves like an opiate. So a lot of these people abuse these things. But the point is I would always say to anybody, and it's like medicine is not like a, what's the word to describe it? It's not like a one size fits all kind of problem.
Yeah,
right?
It's not a cure-all. No.
So I would always say, try to go to therapy first, try to work out your situations you can, and then like add like little bits of meds if it may help you kind of get through, especially if it's temporary, to get over a hump. Like, you know, maybe somebody close to you died, maybe your house caught on fire, you're having a hard time like sleeping in your home because you have PTSD or whatever.
Sure.
But the point is that like chronically, look, there's no free lunch. Anything you take, and that goes beyond psychiatric medicines, anything you take, you know, you take too much water pills for blood pressure, it may wreck your kidneys. You know, you take too much Tylenol, it could wreck your liver. So the point is that there's no free, like there's a negative to everything. So you really have to, that's what we say, risk benefits in the conversation. You know, what's the benefit of this? If it greatly outweighs the risk, then it's probably a good idea to do it. But sometimes, you know,
I mean, it's not. It's dangerous, you know. So the story behind Kratom. So for the record, guys, if you take Kratom, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but Kratom is something used in Southeast Asia. It's been used for hundreds and hundreds of years. They chew the leaf. They're taking minor doses of it. If you take it in a minor dose, it's probably not that dramatic. I was taking an extract of a very specific chemical of Kratom called 7-nitrogyne. I don't know. I can look it up and send it to you, but it's some very specific chemical that this company pulled out of it. And it's that thing that's the opiate-like effect. So I was in Florida. I moved to Florida. I was super down. I had a lot of back, because I used to do strongman then. So I had a lot of back pain. I couldn't sleep. I was having trouble focusing. And I had some side effects from the medication I was taking. So I went to this vitamin shop, it might have even been a head shop at the time, but it was like a herbal, whatever you want to call it. And I asked the guy, who was a veteran, by the way. He was an Army veteran. I said, hey, man, I got back problems. I got some mental health stuff. I'm like, you know, do you have anything that just take the stress off in the evening? What's something that, you know, might just help a little bit, like a supplement? He goes, dude, have you tried Kratom? Okay, sure. So I guess at the end of the day, everything in moderation, even moderation. But there's a point where something stops serving you and you begin to serve it. And that's where it becomes problematic. And, you know, I told my significant other, Nikki, I remember talking to her about it. And I was like, I feel like I woke up from a bad dream. I think I've told Doc this. I was like, I feel like I woke up from a bad dream. I look back in the last 2 years of my life where I was taking this shit. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I didn't take care of any of the stuff I needed to take care of. I worked these long hours. I was completely gone. I didn't go out to dinners. I didn't go out to the gym. I didn't do this. I didn't do that, which is normally who I am.
Sure.
And it sucked. And it's funny because I'm sure the guy meant wholesome by it, by the way, because, you know, he said, hey, take one a couple times a day. That's it. I went and got the extract. I went and took it all the times. And even, and the problem is, and even in my controlled manner, where I was like, I'm only going to take it after work, shit like that, it still was too much. And then it has there's a hangover from it. I had no idea, but there's a hangover from it. There's these withdrawals you get every 6 hours. It's like you go, and that's the problem with it, right? And just be careful. You know, there's nothing wrong. And I hate to say this, there's nothing wrong with exploring and finding, but enjoying life. But please be careful. Because when I tell you that I got through the symptoms, when I was doing the research, 90% of the people I read about had to go to rehab for it.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I watched a guy who had a 7-ohm problem. He was a bodybuilder, went to like Mr. Olympia competitions and stuff. And he was taking it for muscle pains and back problems and stuff like that. And he talked about how like he quit it the first night and he went through the same withdrawals, the insomnia, the jerks, the temperature control issues, the nightmares, everything. He's like, I can't stop. I have to. And he was like losing all his money and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, so just be careful. Doc is 100% right. Nothing is for free. There's a cost to everything. And I wish I would have known that. And, you know, the best advice I can give to somebody is box breaths. If you have trouble with depression or anxiety and you feel like you're on ants, especially PTSD, 4 seconds in, hold 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, hold 4 seconds, 4 seconds in, and do that for a couple minutes every day. That changes that nervous system response. It works for me. Controlling your emotions is like learning a martial art. It takes so much time and effort, but there's so much power to getting natural dopamine. I can't express how happy I am now, even with some of the pains and back problems I have. I'm such a happier person to get up and go to breakfast and brunch with my woman, go to the gym, go to family events, do whatever. Get it. I played games for the first couple of times, the last couple of days, where I naturally enjoyed them. It wasn't something chemically drawn up. And there's a lot of benefit from that.
How much are you spending on this shit? I'm on their
About
website.
200
It's pretty
about 200 a week.
expensive.
Yeah, about 200 a
Holy
week.
shit. I'm saying here,
Yeah.
a 30 count bottle, 14 milligram tablets of this shit is like
So 7 ohms.
$175.
So
Yeah,
7 ohms.
7 ohms.
They had five capsules for $50. 5 20 milligram tablets for $50. And I would buy two of those
Wow.
and some other stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm not proud of it. I've told Doc, I've told our buddy Joe, I was like, I'm embarrassed. I'm genuinely embarrassed. I have guilt, embarrassment, regret, all sorts of stuff from something I bought legally. It's not illegal.
Right.
It's like you can buy it. You can buy it on fucking internet. They'll deliver it to
Yeah.
your house.
I can get this
I had
tomorrow.
no idea. The problem is that, actually, I want to say I feel like I'm lucky because I have God bless me, and I'm a religious man. So sorry if you're not, and I respect that, but I'm a religious man. And I bless that I had friends, and I bless I have a good woman, and I bless that I woke up and realized that this stuff was fucking me up. And I have the willpower and the constitution to quit it. Because when I found out people were going to rehab over it, I was like, I dodged a bullet. Either I have
you're not
incredible
doing that.
constitution or I dodged a bullet because
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'm a career man. I'm a business. I'm an engineer. I don't have time to do this. I'm the breadwinner. I have children. I don't know. So much regret. So please be careful, guys. It's so easy to self-medicate. It's so easy to self-medicate. And that includes,
Especially when you don't need a prescription for it.
no.
You just walk in and grab it.
Yeah, I didn't know. And you know what's funny too is like, I controlled it. I would like take, I'd control when I took it. I would limit my control. And I realized that doing that, I was going through withdrawals and a hangover every single day for 2+ years. I was going through withdrawals and hangovers in the morning through work. And then I would take the stuff in the evening. And I had no idea why I felt like shit all the time. So I'm going to doctors. Why do I hurt? I'm so upset in the morning and I don't feel good. I toss and turn. And they're like, well, take this, take that, take this, take that. And I realized that if I had been natural, my medications would have been completely different. So nonetheless, to wrap it all up, I'm naturally, I got a little bit of time left for the chemistry to reset, a week or so. But then I do plan to go to a doctor again now that I'm normal, now that I have my normal brain chemistry and go, hey, listen, these are the actual problems I have. Let's talk about it and start with therapy, work to psychiatry.
Right.
And go from there because I could use some sleep and things like that. But please don't. And guys, it's not just supplements. It's pornography. It's video games. It could be anything. You could be addicted to anything. I'm being serious.
You
dude.
can play our game though. That's okay.
Yeah, you could be addicted to our game, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But yeah,
We
anyway,
are.
so
We are.
it's been a lot. It's been a lot, and a shout out to my friends because in the male world, it's really hard to go to your friends and go, "I fucked up, and I'm sorry." And I'm fucking hurting and I can't do this and I can't do that and I'm missing this and I'm missing that. It's really tough to do. So please heed my warning. Do not trust the shit you can buy for free. Don't. And that includes caffeine and nicotine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And alcohol. That's not
And
regulated.
alcohol. Quickly. Funny enough, the one thing I learned from my mother. So I come from a family of people who have addiction problems. My father had a severe methamphetamine issue. My mother was a stout alcoholic. Everybody has their crush. And you got to be careful with it because when you find out what actually works for you, that's the one that sweeps you off your feet. And it's not a good wedding. So just be careful. Everything
It's
in
not a good
moderation,
wedding.
boys.
Yes. That's a very good point. So is this a half tablet a day or how do you take this stuff? I'm looking at it online.
So I took the 20 mil. I used to buy 2 packs of the 20 milligrams and 1 pack of the 14 milligrams. So 2 packs of 5, 1 pack of 6. I would take 1 20 milligram tablet at 4 o'clock every day. That was what I met. It literally says on my phone, I got a timer. I had to get rid of it now, but 20 milligrams. And then in the next 3 to 4 hours, I would take a 14 milligram, sometimes more. Sometimes I would take 2 20 milligrams in the day, depending on how stressed out I was, from work and things like that. So I never broke more than 60 milligrams, maybe 80 milligrams at most. If I was really hate to say partying, but that's not how I thought it in my mind.
I mean, this thing is
But-
saying 3 tablets is 6 servings. So that's like a half a tablet a day.
Yeah, the problem is that.
That's 7.
So let me.
Not
I'm gonna try to wrap
20.
this up, but let me just say the first time I took 7 ohms, I sat down. I took so let me take the first time I took Kratom. I took one capsule of Kratom, with 600 milligrams of the powdered leaf, not extract out, just the leaf. My back pain went away. My anxiety, my depression, my PTSD, my ADHD, everything went away. I had this like slight uplift in my spirit, my mood. I felt good. I played Division 2 with Ryan Soviet for like 6 hours. The first time I focused on something nonstop for that long, I was like, what is this miracle powder? This is a leaf. This is amazing. Nothing's ever done this for me before, you know? And that should have been the red flag right there. And then, you know, going on to the extracts, all of a sudden I realized that like I had to take more and more and more and more to get that uplift. And that was when I realized that, hey, this is a problem. So if it's too good to be true,
It is.
between business, car sales, and substances, it's probably too good to be true. So
Wow.
now I'm sure it works for some people. And honestly, the problem with Kratom is it has the same thing as the weed people. They like, oh, it fixes all your problems and nobody has issues with it, right? You get that camp of people. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Those people are like, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. You're the problem. You know what I'm talking about? You know,
Yes.
if you take it responsibly, I'm sure there are benefits to it. But I'm the kind of person that when something works too good for me, I struggle even with my willpower where I took it only certain times a day. I still struggled. So just be careful, guys. Just be careful.
Absolutely. Those are wise words.
Yeah, it was
Totally
rough.
get it.
It was rough.
Well, I'm glad
Miserable.
you're feeling better.
I am feeling better, and I don't know. I played Mass Effect the other day, first time in a long time, and I was like, I enjoyed a video game
On what platform? BZ?
on my computer. Yeah, it's just, you know, and I forced myself to do it too. I had to force myself to do it because every part of my body's like, you know, this isn't. You're not gonna. You gotta, because I'm so used to taking something to enjoy my hobbies.
Yeah.
Just don't do it, guys. Don't, dude. And I didn't talk about the other withdrawals like the gut issues and the weird paranoia and the emotions and all sorts of shit, you know? Again, shout out to Doc because he could have been like, you're a fucking idiot. Go fuck yourself. He didn't do that. He helped me out. And, you know, I mean, even in Vegas, I was taking that stuff.
Were you?
Yeah, I had to, or I couldn't sleep.
I say you were 2 years. So yeah, obviously you had to been.
Yeah, I had to. I used to, and I would, and again, I would ration it because I'm trying to be responsible. Imagine people who don't have that kind of responsibility. No offense to those guys. I totally get it, but I don't know. Don't do it. Learn to deal with your problems the natural way. Go to the gym, go for a walk, go have dinner with your significant other. And if you don't have a significant other, get a dog, watch a show, do something, right? There's so many things you can do naturally that'll help you out. So
I agree. Totally agree. That should be always your first option. So for me, I mean, by the way, my absence is I moved. So I'm currently in my new place in Pennsylvania. That was an absolute, like my next move, man, it's to the grave. That's
did you get movers?
Yeah, we had movers, but we went from a 5,600 square foot house to a 2,700 square foot house, right? Or 2,600 square foot house. So there's like 2,000 feet more shit that I'm like, I don't know where this shit's gonna go. And
I tried to get Doc let me live with him a couple of times in his old house. The basement, like, let me just live in the basement.
Yeah, so we moved. So it was a little bit of a harsh time. The way our house sold is we had it sold initially, and there was a bidding war in the house. The bidding war in the house had us getting, I don't know, $200,000 to $300,000 more than what it's worth, than what we were asking. Not what it's worth, what we were asking. So like, this is great. Our realtor's like, you have the highest sale price of a home in this town ever. I'm like, that's awesome. We're the record.
I'm still waiting for my loan, by the way.
It's a good problem to have. Then I find out that the guy who put in the bid asked for the homeowners association, and the homeowners. We'll have to talk someday about the homeowners association here, because
don't get me started.
That's another bag of cats. But the homeowners association where I was living said you can't have work vehicles out of a garage on the property, and the guy's a painter, so he's got multiple.
He must make
vans.
good money. Hold on, can we time out for a second? A painter. First of all, my dad's been a painter for 30 years. He never bought a house like you. I'm just.
But no, he owns the company that does painting. So I think I don't know if he subcontracts. I don't know what he does, but I mean, he's the owner. So anyway, and I didn't question it. They called me back like days before the deal's done and said, I can't buy this house. Because I have nowhere to put the trucks. And they called the HOA president. They said, listen, sorry, you can't do that. So they backed out of the sale. Lo and behold, like months go by, and all of a sudden, something happens with the housing market. Nothing's happening.
It's gonna you got a good time, by the way, because it's crashing.
I got nobody buying this house for months, and I'm like, you know what? We already put money down on a new house. I'm not sure what's going on. And the next thing you know, these people come back. Same people. And they're like, we figured it out. We figured out a place we're going to put our trucks off site. We made a deal with somebody. They're going to house our trucks. We want to buy the house. And then they try. And now all the people who are bidding against them all found other houses now. So now they're the only bidder, and they want to come in under asking price when they were like $300,000 over asking price. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. This is where men get stubborn. I'm like, you will pay no less than asking price for this house after you were willing to pay $300,000 more for this house, and we lost out on all the other people who were also overbidding.
He's lucky he didn't get sued.
We lost all these other buyers, and now he wants to come in and get it as a steal. I'm like, I'd rather not sell it to you. And
sounds like he did a move on you,
right? And then finally, I said, listen, if nothing else, you're paying the asking price, and they agreed to it. So we got our asking price for the house, which was actually, over $500,000 more than what we paid for it. So that's a good deal.
Hence why I said I'm still waiting for my loan.
Right. So that's a good deal. So we ended up buying a house in Pennsylvania because, kind of like along the line of Damon and talking about like ways of dealing with things, right? For me, like I snuck into a 55 and over community, even though I'm not that age, because for a 55 and over community, you have to have only 80% of the people like that. The other 20% don't have to be, but you have to be at least 50. And I just turned 50. So, aren't I lucky? So I was able to get in, and, I have a brand new house. Everything's like state of the art. It's smaller. I don't have to cut the grass. I don't even have to shovel the fucking driveway. They have people for that. So it's like, you don't have to deal with that. And the big problem was trying to figure out what to do with all this other stuff. We had a garage sale with an estate sale, or whatever you call it. And we sold like $12,000 worth of things, and we still have too much stuff. So we are in the process of actually finishing our basement right now.
My house.
And a lot of stuff in the basement is still in boxes because we're not going to unpack it all until the actual walls are up in the basement. So we're going to put a YouTube studio down in the basement. We're going to put a speakeasy down in the basement. I already bought the bookshelf door for the bookshelf to opens up. Yep. And that's all downstairs. And they'll be coming in on Monday to try to finish up the beams that are downstairs. But my office, and I know you were talking that you were redoing your office.
I'm going to explain my disaster in a minute.
This is I still have boxes in here, and you can't really see them in the picture, but like I'm stupid. Like I'm ridiculous. Like everything has to be in the walls. You can't see any wires. It's like this OCD of a perfect setup. Yep. So I have 4 monitors in here, right? I have a side monitor, which I'm looking at this on. I have my main monitor. And then I have behind me, I have my drawing tablet, which is over there, which we work on the game for. And then I have a side monitor for the Mac. So it's basically a Mac and a PC, each with 2 monitors. Desk is built into the wall. The computer is actually downstairs in what will be the YouTube studio or the video studio, but that's going through wires in the wall to go downstairs. And we end up now having just slowly trying to say where we're going to put all this shit. So
It's tough,
it's
man.
been. That's why I said, like, I'm not moving again. Like, we might buy a shore house someday. That was our goal. We were trying to figure out a way to buy a shore house and a smaller house in PA and not really expend any extra money than what we were paying for the New Jersey house. That was the goal. And man, it's rough. It's rough. And I'm sure so why did you decide to redo your office?
Yeah, so sorry guys, the disaster here. I'm in currently, well, because again, man, with the withdrawal, wait, I hate to say it, but like I woke up from a nightmare and I was like, my office was a disaster. I'm like, who is this person? And so I, like, on a whim, because honestly, I needed to sweat. I needed to be on my feet. I needed to do something with my mind. So I shifted my whole office around. Right. So my office is a disaster right now because I'm just in the middle of a shift. And I got a server rack in here and I got a 12-foot desk and all sorts of stuff. So this is a byproduct. I have these chairs. I have cats, guys. Sorry. They like to sit in the chairs. I play guitar. So yeah, my office is a disaster. But I needed to change. I needed to change in my life. I needed to change. But I'm only in this condo apartment, what do you want to call it, for 6 months. I leave in July.
Is that finalized?
Yeah. So actually, some interesting news. I may be moving to the Netherlands.
What?
Yeah.
The Netherlands.
So my significant other, so first of all, Nikki's father is a very successful businessman. He runs a company that does additives for petroleum. He's a petroleum engineer. He's got cabins. They own properties. They're very successful people. And so they own property in the Netherlands. And her father came up and talked to us because he owns this property in the Netherlands. For the Netherlands, the property is very large. It's an old politician's home in Willemstad. I think I'm saying that right. Bear with me. I'm dumb American. So he's like, listen, the tax rate's changing. And if the house isn't occupied, I have to pay incredible taxes. So I will basically give you this house for very little money if you're willing to move. And now, obviously her family being Dutch, they're all about it, right? So I started doing some digging, do some research, and I made a handshake deal. I was like, listen, I'm willing to give this an adventure. I'm willing to give this adventure a shot, but there's a time cap on it where once we reach a certain year mark, I'm probably going to go back to Colorado. So it's not set in stone yet. Just for the record, Colorado is still the main location. We will be going. The goal right now is to go back to Colorado in July, beginning of August.
Okay.
But her father is offered to help us move, give us this very large home, row house in a very nice part of Netherlands for basically no money. I'm talking like 1,000 euros a month minimum, which is nothing for the house out there. Right next to the water, like literally, it's a stone throw from a harbor. And
what kind of time frame would you live there? How many years?
2 to 4 right now. I said we'll start with 2 because, again, I don't have any national right to be there. However, the Dutch have a couple of treaties. So one, because I'm a staff engineer, I'm considered a desirable worker, which means, and fun fact, one of the reasons why I even considered this is that there's a 30% tax cut for the job I have. They're willing to give me a 30% cut on income taxes, which means I'll pay less income taxes in the Netherlands than I will in the States.
Where in the Netherlands will you live? What was it called?
Willemstad. It's shaped like a star. It's the only country, it's only city in the world shaped like a star.
Willemstad. I'm trying to look it up.
Anyways, so her family.
It's not near Amsterdam. Amsterdam's there, right? Yeah.
It's about 30 minutes from Amsterdam. Let's see.
Wow.
Do you find it? It's shaped like a star.
I don't know how to spell it, so I can't find it. But
WIW. So whiskey, indigo, Lima, echo, M, Miss M. What the fuck? WILLEMSTAD. I'll send it to you in a DM.
There it is. That's not it.
Anyway, I'll just trying to find a picture of it because it's like an old fort. The actual city is like an old fort and it's shaped like a star. I'm not finding it now.
I'm saying Willemstad, Curacao, but I'm not saying Willemstad.
Here, it's in North Brab. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Hold on. Let me send this to you. I think this is it.
Oh, there. I found it. Willemstad Nord, Brabant.
Yeah. Yep. North. Yep. First used in 1639.
How about
It's a
that, dude?
fortified
You're close
settlement.
to you're close to Astro and
Yeah.
and,
So
James.
so here's again
You're
the
not far
reasons
from
are
London.
here's the thing, right? The Netherlands don't require you to have a marriage. They just they require you that you have a long-term relationship. Okay, for residential rights. Because of I'm a desirable immigrant. I hate to say that's what they call it, desirable, because engineering is their biggest export there.
Right.
As a staff software engineer, they're like, you're part of the desirable class, right? And I get a 30% tax break for X amount of months or years or whatever. So we're looking into it. We're going to have a conversation with her father. Again, a businessman. He understands, right? Because it's a culture shock because they're over there. Those people, they don't live to work. They work to live. They only work like 30 hours a week. They have a different lifestyle. So it's not permanent. It may be if it's like mind-blowingly different, but I'm a red-blooded American male, so we'll see. But what is life without adventures? Doc, tell me you haven't gotten some adventures in life. You haven't done some adventures in life.
Dude, every time, about 4 or 5 times today, my wife has brought up moving to Italy. And if we didn't have kids.
But hold on. You probably, so my family line, I'm eligible for lineage citizenship because my mother is over 50%.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can apply for Italian citizenship. That's not the problem. It's just that I don't know.
You get so much for so little there, man. I think you'd be happier.
I would too.
Today in the car, I'm starting to get these doubts, right? I'm like, well, I can't defend my family. I can't own a gun. This is bullshit. How am I supposed to defend you? Well, the Dutch actually have a law that they have a stand your ground law there. Like you can defend yourself in the Netherlands. I was like, okay. Like you can't use a gun. I was like, that's fine. I can beat a small Dutch man to death. I'm not worried about it.
How can you, how are you going to move all that shit though?
So we had the discussion. So we're actually going to meet with her father. They're coming back from Tennessee. So her family owns cabin properties in Tennessee. That's their family business. They own rental properties.
Right.
And he wants to come and have a conversation with me because he's like, well, you should fly there. I'm like, dude, it's 6 months. I don't have time to fly to the Netherlands for 2 weeks. I have to work. Like, I can't do that. And long story short, so we're going to have a long conversation, sit down and have a real conversation about it because I have a lot of concerns. One, I'm American. I have a completely different outlook on life. I work to live. I live to work. Nonetheless, her family, they own this property there. They've owned it for a long time. And the house is beautiful. It's like this row house off this cobble street. It's beautiful. It's right next to this harbor with boats and sails.
I'm looking at the area. Oh, I see the star.
Yeah, you see the star
now?
Wow,
that's legit.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-pointed star.
Yeah. So, it's to me, here's the thing. Speaking, guys, about being completely sober and neutral and natural. These are the things in life that bring uniqueness. You have to have adventures.
Absolutely.
I grew up in Colorado. I'm a mountain boy. I'm a country mountain boy. I grew up in snow in the mountains. That's what I know. But I told my lady, I was like, listen, I'm going to miss the mountain. She's like, well, we're a 45-minute train ride to the Swiss Alps. I'm like, okay, I'm a little sold now. You can't tell me I can just drive to Italy. Yeah. Well, first of all, fuck yourself. The Rockies are almost as tall as the Swiss Alps. I Googled
Are they
it.
really?
They're like 800. It's an 800-foot difference. It's like 1,540 meters or 1,540 feet.
All right.
In the Swiss Alps.
They're still legit.
1,400 and 800.
They're both legit then.
Yeah,
they're
Rockies.
Both legit
again, first of all, if you're from Colorado, if you're listening from Colorado, I'm Colorado through and through. But anyways, yeah, so that's on the table. We're going to have a conversation with the family about it. And the goal is I'm basically going to sell all of our furniture here because the house has got stuff for us. I'm going to sell everything here. I'm basically going to long haul the stuff that we can't. So like maybe our bed, my computer, my electronic equipment, the servers and stuff, guitars, things like that.
Sure.
The biggest issue is getting animals over there.
Oh, really?
Thankfully, KLM, which is the Royal Dutch Airline or whatever, they have a whole animal transport service for people moving to the Netherlands. You can bring X amount of animals on the plane. We have to go to this vets to get, they are so strict about animals. We have to go to this vet with this full vet clearing. They'll sedate the animals for the 9-hour flight. It's a whole process. So, but it's hard to say no to a beautiful home on an ocean front, the Netherlands.
Sure.
How do you say no to that?
I wouldn't say no to that. If I
It's
could
a
take
tough
first of all, it's 9 hours. Oh, it's
like
right
nine.
because you're not in New York. Sorry.
From Houston.
Yeah.
My mother's gonna die. My mother's gonna die because she's expecting me to come back home to Colorado. I'm like, hey, well, psych, I'm going to Europe.
4 years. I'll be back.
So not to jerk the ego a little bit, but I was looking at my salary up in the Netherlands, and I'm Googling the salary for a staff engineer. Because again, engineers are highly desirable. So like I looked at the job market there, they need engineers so bad. They're like offering relocation, all sorts of stuff. I look at my salary like, oh, you're high society. I'm like, what? Yeah, all your healthcare is paid for. They have burnout leave. You can take like 3 months off of work, paid, fully paid off of work for burnout.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The Dutch have some, you remember Maori and Lana. Maori's Dutch.
Yes. Is he?
So
Okay.
he had some amazing stories about how well the Dutch are treated.
They live great lives. They're so healthy.
Yeah.
Like my lady was like, listen, I told her, I was like, well, if we move, you don't have to work. We're going to have ample money. It's a completely different system there. I did all the math and I was doing all this math. It was like, what's my income look like? What I have to left over euros, all this kind of stuff. She's like, well, I have to go shopping every day because we don't have big fridges there. It's fresh food every day. I'm like, what? There's a serious culture shock. Really, there's a serious culture shock. But even if I love it, I know I'll probably end back in the States. It's hard you can't be born American man and not live in the US, right? Especially if we're buying Greenland, by the way. Shout out to Trump. If we buy
Shout
Greenland,
out to the Greenland and the 51st state of Canada.
Yeah, we have to get into that. We have to get
I
into
know.
that. But anyway, so I'll let you know what that ends up. We're going to have a conversation with her father about it. Her family's going to help. They want to help us move. The thing is, it's my time. My hours will change, but it's not going to affect. Actually, I'll have more time for ADS because the couple of jobs I looked at today, they're 30 hours a week. Their full time is 30 hours a week. I don't even know what that's like. I've never worked 30 hours a week in my life. I don't know what the fuck 30 hours a week is.
That's crazy.
Come on,
that's like
Doc,
a week. That's like a week off vacation. Dude, I wanted to move to Italy. You could buy a cheap ass apartment there. You could be like right on the water. Oh.
Beautiful for like cents on the dollar. Like they have that dollar house system there. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to agree to, I think you have to agree to put $80,000 in renovations in Italy if you're going to buy one of those dollar houses.
Woo!
But it's not a big deal. But I also understand it takes a long time because, the work, from what I understand, this is just reading and research and word of mouth that like stuff in Italy, they don't, they take their time.
They live a different life there.
It's not like
life there.
Let's go. It's not like that.
Well, that's what her father told me. He's like, well, you're used to the American lifestyle. He's like, you won't make the same money. But I'm like, I hate to. I have to talk to him about it. So he's like, oh, you'll make less money. I'm like, well, actually, engineers are so sought in the Netherlands that my salary will not really change other than taxes. Now, for those who want to know, there is a negative effect. You do pay like 55% income tax after that 30% window goes out. Once you're done with that 30% break-in period or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't have a credit system there. Did you know that?
No.
Italy, there's no credit system. The bank loans you money based off your income.
Oh, wow.
Is that
interesting?
Nuts? I don't even know what it's like to have a credit system. My whole life is based off TransUnion and Equifax and Experian.
Yeah. You want to know what your credit score is? You get an email once a week from them.
The banks are personal. They're like, literally, they sit you down. Because I was like looking, I was like, okay, well, what if I want to buy a car or a motorcycle? What if I want to buy a house? And then there's like a whole system. Like, oh, what do you make a year? How long you lived here? I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's say 200,000 a year. I've lived here for a year. They're like, oh, we'll give you over €1 million. Like, what? You don't even know me. That seems like a dangerous act. No, they just have a completely different mindset there.
So
I'm not shitting on the US. I love this country, guys.
Oh, I do.
I love this country.
You would go in for the summer?
So yeah, we would leave in the end of July. Yeah.
Okay.
We would take all our cats and dogs on a plane, sedate them with Zola, or was it Trazodone? Sedate the animals with Trazodone, take a 9-hour flight, and then immediately land. And I don't know where we land. I think we land in Amsterdam, and then we'll take a rental car
Right.
I have to apply for some international license. I don't know. So
I'm going to London in March.
are you really?
I am. I'm going to meet James. He said he's going to pull me off the plane as a police officer to make a spectacle of me.
I hope he films that. That should just be on Cops. I better watch that on like what is it? Heathrow Police or whatever.
I messaged him yesterday morning, and I'm like, tell me what hotel you want to sit in. He goes, he has to take a proper look. I'm like, okay, take a proper look.
How's he doing, by the way? I miss him. I hope he's doing good.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking
he was
of
on
men's
a
health.
couple days ago. He was on playing Tarkov with the guys. I saw him, and I think he's starting to kind of get into it now. You know, he's been going through a lot of stuff. We all have been, and I think that he's he's kind of settling in. We have a meeting. We're going to meet up at the beginning of this coming week, to go over some stuff.
You should invite me.
About
to that. I gotta talk to
ADS.
him.
You'll see us on Discord. Just I don't know the time frame yet, though.
That's fine.
I'm
I'll
off.
jump in.
I'm off like Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
I work tomorrow 3 to 1, but then I'm off Monday and Tuesday. So one of those 2 days, I'm gonna hook up with him. So
I guess we should talk about that, right?
yeah,
Talk about where the big stressor is.
So the biggest amount of time, and we're breaking the news here because it's not been on any other news source but the Modern Boomer podcast, is that we've talked about the project and we're making a game, but we always wanted to make sure that our game was secure because we thought we had a really good idea with the game, and we thought that it was going to be a crowd pleaser. So we didn't want to talk about the name, but now that we have everything trademarked
And public.
and it's out there, it's on Steam, you can wish list it. We don't have the release date yet because we're still working on it, but the game is called Method of Entry, and you're having a podcast with two of the co-owners of Attack Dog Studios, which is our development company. So we have been hard at work while juggling podcasts, moving, Kratom,
Seriously.
Amsterdam talks, or Belgium talks,
Italy talks.
Italy talks, the CEO getting married, other people
Vegas.
getting divorced. It's been a whirlwind of emotions and time juggling. But we are a small group of people. Tattoos. That tattoo was put on today, right?
It was. It's all blurry because my camera's an asshole. Whatever.
Right,
I'll send you a photo.
It records sharper though. But I mean, tell us about the tattoo real quick.
Okay, yeah. So this is alchemy. It's an esoteric symbol. It's the fiery male symbol. It's fire and sulfur alchemic symbol. It says, "Into the light, I command thee." Basically, the idea. I'm a religious man, so the idea is that this symbol is to protect me. It's the way to, push, the intrusive thoughts, the dark, the demon. Every man has demons, right? We all have demons.
Sure,
every man has demons. It's meant to push the demons in the light to get them out. So actually, this symbol is some pop culture reference. If you're a Keanu Reeves fan, go watch the movie Constantine. He's got him on both sides of his arm, and that's how he repels Satan in the movie and other demons. He pushes his arms together. He's got this big, this exact symbol here. He's got it in both his forearms, and that's how he extinguishes demons. I don't know. You have to watch it, but yes, it comes from esoteric. So I have some Freemason background and things like that, and so, as a religious man going through all the stuff I've been going through, I wanted to get something that I felt would help clear my mind, clear my environment, and don't get tattoos for fun, guys. Get tattoos for symbolism that mean something to you. They have to be your character. This is your permanent skin. You know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents, at least. My first tattoo.
Nice. I want to get one too.
I wanted a tattoo since I was like 17. I wanted a tattoo at 17. In the military, they're like, I got bullied about it. Like, oh, don't do it. You're a fucking boot. Don't do it. And I was like, okay. And I never did. And for years, I never did. I've always wanted it. And finally, my lady's like, let's go look. So I went to this place that she went to, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I'll do that. $300. I was like, sold. Let's go. Expected to hurt. Didn't hurt. Didn't bother me. Sat there for 3 hours, 2 hours, or whatever it was. And now I'm addicted. Speaking of addictions, now I want 100 more. I mean, don't you think you want to tell your life? Actually, I saw a video of a doctor. My lady showed me this video of a doctor. This guy's tattooed neck down, just fully sleeved. And his video goes, would you trust me to save your life? And then he goes, how about now? The next one, he's wearing his full like white coat. He's an MD, full white coat and everything like that with this, stethoscope, and his arms are all covered. And it's funny because he's like a renowned doctor or something, but he's like tattooed neck down. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
well,
different society.
Yes. But I mean, so this game, David, tell them about the game, what it involves, what's the claim to fame, and how they can get on the wish list.
So first of all, sorry guys for being the primary voice of this podcast, but so method of entry, a little background, is actually a military term for how you enter a building. It's the tactical way you enter a building. There's numerous tactical ways to enter a building, but it's called the method of entry. So method of entry is a 5v5 competitive shooter where we put competitive first, followed by realism. So we have a competitive baseline, and as much realism as we can tack on that doesn't affect that esports aspect of it, we do. And it's been a labor of love. Honestly, it's been a labor of love. A lot of hours. I think I've put, what are we at? 2 years now? I've been programming this game for 2 years. We've gone through 3 iterations of it. Right now, we have 2 iterations that are functioning. We have the release client and a proof of concept client. But it's a 5v5 competitive shooter. It's kind of a homage to the old Rainbow Six games, mixing in like Siege and Counter-Strike with the competitive esports aspect, but that realism that the Rainbow Six games and the SWAT games brought to the table.
Right.
We have a strong 6-man team. There's 3 of us actively developing the game daily for the most part when we have time. That's the thing, It's built in Unreal Engine 5. We started Unreal Engine 5. Now we're at 5.51 or something. We've done consistent upgrades. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Hubert, the guys who've also actively been working on it. Shout out to Doc, who's done all of our design and our artistic work. Doc is our chief operating officer, so he's been keeping the company moving, believe me, because it's hard. Shout out to Joe, our CEO, who none of us wanted to be CEO, not even him. We all voted it on to him.
Tough
We're
shit,
like,
you're
you
the
can be the
CEO.
CEO, bro. But man, it's been hard. And, I've been a software engineer for over a decade. I'm almost 12 years now. I've been a software engineer. I'm a staff engineer now for a large dental and medical software company. And building a video game has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my career. By far, been the hardest thing I've ever programmed.
Amazing.
We're trying to be unique. We're trying to be better. And actually, I was trying to bring up Slack because I had posted in Slack under our engineering channel all of the mechanics that we're working on. And there's a big issue in the multiplayer world. What do you guys hate? Lag, hit registration,
sure,
jitteriness, all that kind of stuff. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 to 32 systems that I've been actively working on. Everything from temporal aliasing reduction, interpolation, hitbox registration, lag compensation. We've been building all these systems in, and it's been an absolute labor of love. And not to rain on the parade, but some of the Kratom, the 7 ohms, is because I had been working 16 hours a day for 2 years or something.
Right.
Chris too. Shout out to Chris. Our buddy Chris is our lead. He's our CTO. I pushed him to be our CTO and our DevOps guy recently. And it's a lot of work, man. Building a video game it's like literally, I don't know, explain. It's like building a house with hand tools.
Yeah.
Even with the engine. Unreal Engine is a bastard of an engine to work with. What do you have to say? Come on, you got to say something. You've watched their struggles.
I
have like mental breakdowns.
I have to take your word for it when it comes down. Yeah, I mean, it's, there's so many parts of developing a game that like you take for granted because there's these big, massive companies or big studios. They have 50
Hundreds.
plus people, if not more, right, doing these games. And here it's, it's just a group of people.
3 to 6 guys, yeah.
6 guys, right? 6 guys doing it all. So, you got to do legal stuff. You got to do marketing. You got to do merch. You got to do the game itself.
Community management.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to manage the community. You got to do outreach. You got to do interviews and talks on different platforms eventually to discuss the game. Then you got to try to get it injected into the world of competitive gaming, right? There's just, it's just, sometimes it's, you know, David said this to me when he was talking about programming. He's like, he started a race. There's no finish line in sight, but he knows that eventually it's got to show up, but he just doesn't know when that is. And that's kind of, the whole thing is like that though.
Yeah. It's like running in a dark tunnel and you're exhausted, your muscles ache, your gas. You know, have you guys ever done a long run or the mile run in high school or a ruck if you're in the military? And you're just going and you're going and you're going and you're going and you're dragging your feet and your back hurts. Excuse me. Some of the side effects of this shit is I can't stop sneezing.
I see that.
But anyways, yeah, man. I mean, and to be honest, guys, it's like, I'm watching Doc make symbols and stickers and patches and logos and icons. And you got Chris, who's like building the game mechanics and blueprint over and over and over. And I'm the only, I need one actual software background. So like I'm directing him and we're doing this. And we've come so far. If I look at where we were 2.5 years ago to where we are now, we've learned so much.
Oh my God.
We've learned so much. You know, I mean, I learned math. I didn't even know I fucking could learn with interpolation and lag compensation. I'm like, C++, and I come from a C++ background for the record. I had to learn all of Unreal C++. Then the matchmaking and like the cloud, the server distribution stuff, like it's so overwhelming at times that I've thought about just like laying on the floor in the fetal position, to be honest with you.
It's a lot. But I mean, right now, the game is, you know, as David said, we have the proof of concept, which is the version we're running a lot of the testing on because, you know, you make a proof of concept a piece of software to make sure that it can do all the functionality or most of the functionality that you want, and that it's a viable project. People like it. There's enjoyment out of it, and then, you know, the second version of it that Damon's talking about is basically the
architected. Yes.
Yeah. The architectural optimization of the game, right? Because, you know, everything right now in these games is all about, you know, speed, lag, both computer performance, network performance, and then of course, trying to limit any like cheaters. And you want to be able
and exploitation. Yeah.
Right. And then you obviously you want to be able to have a game that, you know, fun is obviously the biggest thing, right? You want to be able to have fun. You want to enjoy yourself. You know, that's why we're, you know, middle-aged guys who still like to do this because we understand the enjoyment that comes out of this stuff. But it's a job. It's like a real job. It's a lot of work. Like I was sitting here before we recorded this podcast. I was finalizing faction logos because we change them. And there's a lot of stuff that's another thing we even talk about is how much stuff changes, right?
All the time.
We'll decide, like, you know what, hey, you know, I was thinking about this and maybe we should do X, Y, or Z. Maybe we should add this map. Maybe we should take this away. Maybe there should be another piece of optional gear that people can load onto their player when they're going to go into a map. You know, maybe, you know,
avenues of revenue.
Right. So, I mean, and obviously there's anxiety that comes with this because you want to make a game. And one of our big things about this company, one of the biggest things is our desire to be super community focused. Yes. And we are, you know, how many games have you played where, you know,
you nickel and dimed?
I personally say, well, I'm not even talking about the money point, but I was personally really disappointed, and you weren't, with the Star Wars Galaxies change after I've been playing the game forever, and they're like, hey,
I was disappointed. Are you kidding me? When they went to the combat upgrade, the CU,
right? Oh, okay.
I was one of the guys riding in the spaceport, like, don't change the game, you know, but they got to be like, wow.
We got to make it similar to WoW, and all that work you did. Well, we're going to give you a cloak for that only you can have.
A plaque in your house. It's like CU upgrade plaque.
Here's the 2.5 years you spent of your life on this game.
Here's a level
plaque.
now.
Here's a plaque. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? So it's like, we don't want to upset. We don't want to upset the apple cart, you know, and gamers, to be fair, as a gamer, we're not always the easiest people to please, right?
No.
So we want to listen to the community. We want to make a game that the community likes and that we like, and not necessarily the game that's going to make us the most money, because that's not why we're in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, you know, actually, and I'm going to divulge probably a little bit of secret stuff. It's a little secret sauce. So sorry, Joe, you can yell at me later. I'll take it on the chin.
Better to
But-
ask forgiveness.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
permission.
It's married men. We know that. Record that statement. No, but like it's so when we started this project, one of the first things I wrote in our manifesto, and I hate to use that word, but it really was a manifesto, was that I wanted to build a brand loyalty. It was important to me that we built a brand loyalty with ADS. I wanted the community to go, oh wait, Attack Dog 2 is releasing a game? Okay, I'm gonna buy that because I trust them. They release a product quality every time. Now, the problem with that is that you don't make the most money by being community focused, right? We're not going to nickel and dime you. We want to give you the full game for the money you paid, and we don't want to charge you out the ass for it because games can't be $70 forever. Like that's too much in current inflation. So in return, half of my challenge has been, how can I make business products as a company that we could sell behind the scenes for an income so that we don't have to march games out the door consistently to keep the doors open? I got to build... Because listen to me, I will turn a business upside down and shake them for every dollar they have. I won't do that to the community. So a lot of ADS has been business solutions, everything from Discord integrations and marketing products to our scalable dedicated server system that I wrote from the ground up that took me a year alone to do by myself. And the learning curve, like, again, shout out to Chris and Hubert, because both these guys came on with no software engineering experience. And again, I'm not talking about software development. I'm talking about software engineering. We're engineering a product. And these guys full-heartedly sat down with me, who's got a decade of experience in it. And I was like, you guys got to change this. This has got to do, we can't do it this way. And again, they're learning these complex systems overnight. So it's been an absolute, it's very impressive. But you know what? That's the power of dedication. And, I've rewritten parts of ADS over 100 times. The lag compensation and the POC, I rewrote that like probably 30 times to get it down to where it was somewhat applicable, because I've never done it before. I've written business software my whole life. So, and don't get me started on the matchmaking and the fucking integrations with the web services and stuff. Like that is like, actually, let me tell a little story. My lady plays this game called Astrobot on the PlayStation 5 or whatever, PlayStation 5. And she beat it. And we're sitting on the couch. She's like, okay, you're beat. Let's watch the credits. I want you to count how many people built this game. It was like 100 people between the engineers and the graphic design. It was 100 people who built this cute little platformer. No multiplayer, no crazy systems, just a platformer game with a little robot. 100 people built that game with funding from Sony and other big companies. Right. 100 people. And I remember in her brain, I watched it click like, wow, that's your 6 people are building your game. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. So when you see these indie games out here releasing these products, give them a high five, because that is a labor of love.
It is. And so we feel free. We'll put the Discord link in the notes for this.
Method of entry.
At the end of this, I will put the trailer into this video as well, so that you can watch the trailer of the game.
All in engine, by the way, all in engine.
Right.
On a map that we all worked on.
Right. So it is something that we just we want to make. It's I hate to use the Trump thing. We keep make America great again, but there was a time when
make gaming great again.
Gaming was great, and gaming is good. Don't get me wrong, but like the gaming mentality is right now is kind of toxic. It's like, I don't mind. We'll have some stuff that people can buy, like some cosmetics and stuff like that. But
sure.
But but it's not going to be like you need to just keep buying and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying all the time. We'll have different options for different people, and those options aren't finalized yet. But the point is that it's about creating brand loyalty more than it's about padding our pockets. And I think that hopefully gamers will appreciate that, because I know gamers don't. I remember scraping up money to try to buy a game, and I used not to cut you off. My parents went on a trip. I used the money they gave me for food to buy the fucking Jump to Lightspeed expansion for Galaxy. Yes. It's like. And who did it right? Baldur's Gate did it right.
They did it great.
The Baldur's Gate gave you a full game, awesome game, and
Space Marines 2.
They gave you everything right out of the bat, and there was actually articles about other game companies being mad. They're like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you giving people so much for their money?" Like this is
Because
the
I'm
model,
not a piece of shit.
right? This is the model. Like this is the model. You release this much stuff. If you want to finish the game, it may cost more. If you want this kind of weapon, it may cost more. If you want to behold more inventory, it may cost more. If you want to, get a couple extra characters, it may cost more. Like that's what you do, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They just gave you a game, single player game. Here it is. It's a completely voice rendered game. Tons of different side missions. The whole game can change based on your interactions with other people, and it was like, wow, that was a lot for your money.
Yeah,
that was a lot for your money. And
Space Marines 2.
Yeah, tell me about. Yeah, tell me. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
it was a full title, right?
A full title with unlocks and cosmetics and game modes, all DLCs. Everything was just pumped in. I mean, sure, you could buy the gold edition or whatever.
Right. Fine.
I did that. I'm a Warhammer fan, so of course I splurged the money. But yeah, you got a full game. And I don't know. That's the thing, man. It's like I'd rather build a brand loyalty because I know our products will sell because people know what they're going to get. And to me, that's an established business plan rather than nickel. I'm not going to do what I call the EA system, which is nickel and dime. Look what they did to BioWare. Remember, speaking of Mass Effect, remember the original BioWare games? They were great. KOTOR, the Mass Effect series. You got these massive games with romance and fully voiced systems and everything. Think about SWTOR.
Yeah.
Fully voiced, right? And then now you can't, like, you look at these games coming out now and it's like everything's a nickel and dime. I'm buying cosmetics just to feel cool. So,
BioWare was founded by two physicians.
Was it really?
That's why it's called BioWare. They were
one of my
doctors.
Favorite game companies. One of my favorite game companies of all time.
They were two doctors who met either in medical school and early residency. They dropped out and said, "We're going to make video games instead."
You're late to the punch, Doc.
Yeah, no shit, right? I was hoping
they got
to meet
funding,
them.
Though.
I was hoping to meet them when I went up to I went to PAX East to see the Old Republic, and
it's a great game, by the way.
As I said, we played a ton of Star Wars Galaxies, and here comes another Star Wars MMO. So I traveled all the way up to Boston, it stood in line for fucking 2 hours just to play one raid, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I got the beta of that game.
Yeah. So I was hoping that I would meet these guys there. I even went to their little after party. I have two posters in my basement signed by the dev team.
I'll take one of those, by the way, along with that.
Just give it to you with the loan.
Yeah,
I have to fucking find the posters now because they're all in boxes downstairs. Who the hell knows where things are? But yeah, so that's what's been going on. So I mean, we are stretched thin. I was moving. So for like the last almost 2 months, I was not really available. Right now, I just did a new video for our game, by the way. I'm not going to release it till February, but I just finished that. I'm working on the new faction logos. And finally, I have enough of my stuff all set up with the NAS set up and the networking set up in the basement. And that's a whole other thing because I have a network rack built into the wall. It's actually between the beams of the walls that they're making, but I don't want to put it in there because it's too dusty. So I have tarps hanging from the roof.
You're gonna get drywall dust, dude. Those servers are gonna suck that shit right up. No matter how much you tarp it, it's still gonna find that dust. I promise you.
Sucks.
It's been a lot, man. It's been a lot. Guys, I can't tell you where there was. So all of last year and most of this year, I worked probably 17-hour days between my normal career and ADS. I mean, if you join the ADS Discord, I have a special plugin that shows what I'm doing in Visual Studios. So if you guys are interested, you can look on Discord. You'll see that I'm in Visual Studios. It'll show you the MOE project I'm in. It'll show you what file I'm on. And some of those times I'm on those files for hours. I think I spent... This was quite a while ago because I've been suffering from stupidity, by the way, getting over that. But before the stupidity, there was times you see sometimes I've been files for 9 hours, working on stuff for 9 hours. And if you looked at my notebook for ADS, I think I had schizophrenia. So it's been an adventure, and I'm hoping for success. And actually, shout out to if you're an investor and you don't want to take advantage of us because I'll put you in an early grave. Talk to us. We'd love it. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard, dude. It's so hard. And it's so hard to get off the ground. Kickstarter.
That's what
we have, a Kickstarter.
It will be. Yeah, you can follow it because we won't do that till we have a little bit more traction as far as like people getting the game known that it's coming out. And that's the part we're working on next.
Yeah, I'll be a little transparent. We're working heavily in the POC client with more of these POC systems. So hitbox prediction, lag compensation, server-side hit detection, and let's see, what do we got? Soft reconciliation, extrapolation, dead reckoning, interpolation, and temporal aliasing reduction are these systems we're working on the server side right now in the POC with playtesters. I still probably have 200 hours of development still to do, engineering to do on those systems. Most of them are partially incorporated. So if you get in, you join the Discord, you want to be a playtester, please throw it out a request. We're always looking for people. But right now we're working at the POC because we're still trying to figure out these systems and how they work.
Right.
Because we have to be different. We have to be better in Siege. We have to be better in Counter-Strike. We have to be better in these other competitive games. And we're trying to figure out what our niche is. And we don't want to be your typical, oh, here's a boxed Unreal Engine game. Have fun. Like, we don't want to do that.
Right.
So
right.
It's been an experience.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're into games, like if you're into a military simulation type of 5v5, like, there's a lot of 5v5 games out there, but
why don't you tell them the story?
Which story is referring to?
The story of MOE, the world history. Project Mayhem-esque kind of mentality, the PMC triple canopy style group.
That's probably better off with you than me.
You think so?
I think so.
All right. So, but do you want me to go through that?
Well, let me just finish my point, then you can talk about it. But it's like we wanted to bring. See, a lot of us play Tarkov, right? And either you love Tarkov or you hate Tarkov. But you have to admit one thing: Tarkov has a lot of really cool functionality, and it bases a lot of realistic kind of stuff, like in movements and getting shot and healing yourself and we're not obviously using all those in this game, but the point is we don't like the 5v5 things where you can jump 30 feet in the air, or you have some kind of special abilities, and that's where got a little bit crazy.
Siege.
Yeah, Siege, Rainbow Six. So that got a little bit weird. But so we're trying to keep to a very military-esque roots and military-esque movement, right? We're looking for this to be as much of a physical game as it is a mind game, right? You need your teammates. You need to strategize.
Strats
it's
matter.
Not right. It's not just run and gun. So I mean, you're not going to do well, most likely,
No.
unless you're a phenom or something. But you're probably not. So this is the kind of game we're looking for. So we're looking for something that's a little bit more cerebral. Both with thinking and using and oftentimes real, Damon used to talk about in hacks with his group, like using some real, being in the military, some actual military tactics that actually translate into the video game realm. And a lot of military sims still use video games to train, don't they? I remember America's Army.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, the point is that that's what we're looking to do, and that's what is enjoyed. We can easily go for some sort of cash grab, but we want to make something that we want to play, and we want to make something that's gonna be a throwback to the golden age of these games, and do our little twist on it. So we're super excited to get it out, and a lot of us are chomping at the bit for that, but check out the website, Attack Dog Studios and methodofentry.com. Get on our Discord. We'll put a link in. Check us out on Steam. Wishlist us on Steam as well. So what I didn't, that was my point I wanted to finish, but go ahead. You were going to talk about more of the background.
No. Yeah. So Method of Entry, the idea is that, coming from a lot of our guys, we're just all dudes. We all love Fight Club. We all love private military stuff. We have veterans, we have ex-police officers, et cetera, et cetera. So Method of Entry is basically about this anarchist group. They're codenamed The Collapse. Their whole purpose is they're trying to break down the government constructs of the world. And I'm sure some people can relate to that fine. But there's this in PMC involvement, this military involvement. And they're basically trying to prevent this group from... Think of the Project Mayhem from Fight Club. They're out there to bring down these corporations and these businesses, and they're trying to cause this chaos. And, you can either play as them or you can play as these private military group who is out there basically defending these corporations, defending these systems, defending these governments, trying to prevent that. So you hate to say it in this way, we kind of come from the Warhammer group. Nobody's the good guy. Pick your poison. Which one's the best poison for you? Which one do you most ideal with, and fight your way through it. However, our movement system, the way our servers work, everything is real time and very constrictive. So strategies matter. You can't just run and gun and do like slide dodges and rolls. You really have to think strategies. So Doc mentioned hacks. HXC, or Hacks Competitive, was a group that I ran with Joe, our CEO, for a while. We were a semi-professional team for a small video game called 0 Hour. And I used to make these military strats up, like fast action entry systems and things like that I would take from real life handbooks. And we kind of modeled our game system off that. It's important that you think about how you're getting in the building or how you're defending the building. You really got to think about your angles and your corners and how you're going to play that out, because if you're just going to be loose and goosey, you're going to get your shit rocked. And don't come and think you're going to ping abuse, because I've written enough systems now, like dynamic load balancing and dynamic latency compensation, where that's not going to happen. All our servers are fresh. Every time you play a match and with MOE, it's a fresh server, a fresh instance. And nothing like that. Just 128 tick. All our servers 128 tick, cloud hosted. And it's been a huge adventure. So we got a lot of time ahead of us. We got a lot of work ahead of us. But if you want to be a part of this adventure, you want to be a part of this next big year or so of development, please come join us. Please come check us out. We need the motivation. We need the hype. And we're going to, and follow us through it. And for people who join now, if you get involved, I mean, we want to make sure you're known for being involved, and there's going to be benefits for everybody who comes so early. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, we have a decent group of people already who are interested, and I see new people on the Discord all the time, which is really nice. We're on there. So, I mean, you'll see us on there. You could always feel free to drop us a message. We know it's not like we're going to ignore you.
A lot of the guys play games on there. Come say hi. A lot of the guys are playing Tarkov. A lot of guys are playing Star Citizen. Because we're humans, right? We got to take breaks from work. We can't work and work and work. So come say hello, ask us questions. If you're a computer engineer, you're a software engineer, and you want to learn technologies, hit me up, man. I'll chat all day. Come join us. We're just average Joes trying to get stuff done, and we're not going to drain your wallet in the process.
Yeah, you're not going to hear us say, like, if you're going to play our game, we're not going to talk about other games or enjoy other games. I mean, so we are, we're not corporate people in the video game space. We're video gamers in the video game space. So we want to, we want to play Star Citizen and we'll even have events. You guys can play with us and there's a lot of things coming down the pike, and this is about we talked about going down that tunnel and not seeing a finish line, but we're going to be doing some Twitch streams eventually, right? Both of the game or, just streams. Us kind of talking about the game. We're going to get into some of the circuits, like maybe showing up at PAX. We'll be talking about the game there. We have something in a state where we're happy with how everything's working, that we can actually put it out there and have people come and try it and play it. And then obviously there are other stuff like, we'll have some merch and stuff like that coming out too. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And this right here, this is the first time we've ever actually talked about this in a format that's not like a recorded video for YouTube. So this is the first time. So hopefully the floodgates are going to open, and you're going to see a lot of stuff starting, I believe, February 1st, because we're trying to ramp up after the holidays and get some content under our belt. So we're going to be putting a lot more stuff out there. So you're going to start seeing more stuff creeping out now as time goes on. But it's a good time to get in at the leading edge of this and follow along and we'll, as Damon said, the people who are in there who are participating and doing stuff, I mean, we'll make it as much as we can worth your while. So
absolutely.
So we can't wait to see how this unfolds over the next year.
We got a lot to do, guys. So please be patient with us. We're a small team of dudes doing a lot, and But like I said, I'll answer any questions you have, anything I can within the scope of them allowed to. And again, if you're a computer guy, by the way, if you're a software engineer, you have a passion for game design, you're coming out of college, hit me up too. We're always looking. I would love to talk to people like that who have any sort of game development experience. I got questions my own. Yeah, we're just a bunch of guys making something, you know, and none of us, I want to say this very clearly, none of us think this is like some massive meal ticket where like I'm going to be driving 2 Ferraris of different shades by the end of the week. Like that's not what we're doing here, guys. None of us are sitting here thinking this is going to be the end all be all. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather slave away 40 hours a week every day building something that the community loves than doing what I do now. So come support us. Come be involved. Come check us out. And also give me some breaks. I built both the websites in like a week flat. So please be kind to me when you go to methodventure.com or attack.studios.com. They're subject to change. But shout out to our team. Again, shout out to Joe, James, Hubert, Chris, Anthony. All these guys have worked so hard. And you know what? Again, when you work with friends, you really learn each other. You really learn each other's limits. You learn each other's passions and who people are. And we've stuck through it, guys. We've stuck through it. And that's so much
true
to say already. So,
right.
Not to be sentimental, but like some of the stuff we talked about earlier with the changes in my own life are because of ADS, because of this company, because of my friends, because of how much I want to see this succeed, that I had to change who I was to be successful. And that's how passionate we are. And I don't mean to be sentimental. I know that can be uncomfortable at times, but that's just how passionate we are as a team. So come check us out. Come hang out. If you like Tarkov, you like Star Citizen, you like Counter-Strike, we got guys here all the time playing a hunt showdown. And we're friendly. We're not going to be mean. You know, we'll hang out with you, you know. Come check us out.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, it is at almost an hour and a half. So this is a long one, but we had a lot to catch up on. And we even talked about the election. We didn't talk about the 50 series video cards that are coming out.
Why don't we take 30 extra minutes, Doc? Take 30 extra minutes for the fans. It's been a long time.
All right.
You want to take 30 extra minutes?
So the 50 series cards will be out.
Yeah, but there's some controversy, right?
There is
cheating or whatever.
There is. So my understanding of this, and we didn't prepare or talk about this yet, but I mean, my understanding is that if you look at the cards, they're a smaller footprint. Their physical size is smaller, and that I don't think that's all just it's good architecture, but I don't think it's all good architecture. My understanding, and I don't know if you know the answer, but correct me if I'm wrong, was that a lot of the quote unquote improvement over the 40 series cards to the 50 series cards, because they say right now that the 5070, which is like a $540 card, the way it's going to come out, is going to be equal in power to a 4090. And they're saying that the way that apparently happens, that there's some sort of neurocomputational AI algorithm that my understanding is that the card is only generating like 30% of the frames. Yeah, and then DLSS. A large amount of the frames are assumed or interpolated in between the actual frames that are rendered. Yep. And you know, my honest opinion, if it looks great and it's functional, like that's fine. But there has to be some drawbacks to that. No,
see, that's the thing, man. I am a believer that we live in a world of fake graphics today. We're doing all these systems. As somebody who's been working on Unreal for the last 2-3 years now, Unreal Engine does a lot of side sweeping of true graphic generation. You see like the weird tatters in the motion and stuff. It's all for frames. If you look back at actually, I was just talking to Joe about this about a month ago. You guys remember the old game, Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay? Did you ever play that?
Yes.
Okay. Go play that game. It's made in 2004. The graphics in that game are mind-blowing for 2004. You look at game state, you're like, why are the shadows so soft? Why are the lines so soft? Nothing feels right. Nothing feels quality. So with graphics cards and all this stuff, they're trying to maximize frames. They're trying to maximize ray tracing, all this stuff, and it's all just filler. You know what I mean? And the more you use these interpolated systems, the more you're going to get artifacts and false renders and stuff. And I think we need to get away from that. So I don't have a lot of faith in the 5000 series. I didn't have a lot of faith in the 4000 series. I probably will end up buying it, but I don't know. It's just there's a company actually just started recently who's their whole marketing ploy has been attacking Unreal Engine for their fake rendering systems. And I'll see if I can send you some links. You can link it into the description. But gaming is just, it's not what it used to be, man. It's not what it used to be, where it was just raw rendering pipelines. Now we're using all these systems. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. Even as we're building MOE, I mean, how many times we've talked about these graphic systems we want to lock in place or unlock or allow or disallow, and the performance stuff that we're handling, because like we've disabled some of these scaling systems, and also we go from 80, 90 FPS to 60 FPS or 40 FPS, and we're having to do all this optimization because we want real graphic rendering. Because hate to say it, but if these AI systems in competitive games, if AI systems are filling in the images for you, does that affect how you react? Does that affect how you interact with the other player? Right. So
like I almost feel like it has to. And I don't know enough about it, but like I feel like how could it not?
Well, let's say this, right? Let's say this. So if you guys remember Kyle Rittenhouse, not to bring politics in this, but Kyle Rittenhouse, they actually argued the upscaling, when you zoom in an iPhone, they use bicubic scaling, right? To help fill in the images for quality. And that was enough of a change that it wasn't held up in court because the pixels were automated, generated, right? So think about that in a game sense. We're talking 30% of your frame rate is just AI generated imagery or upscaling imagery. You don't know what you're actually getting. And in a high performance competitive game, that pixel peak makes a difference. Do we want to allow that? You know what I mean? And we don't. We want you guys to, I mean, why do you think I wrote 30 plus systems to make sure that you guys feel as accurate as possible? I don't want DLS ruining that for you.
Right.
So
we're going to have to get one of those
tough.
cards and play the game and see what happens.
We are. And again, here's the thing with building a game with no funding, we're the funders, and it sucks sometimes. So,
right.
But yeah, it's a lot. And I understand why NVIDIA is doing it. I understand why they're doing what they're doing, because AI is the hot topic now. Don't take me wrong. ChatGPT has answered some really complicated questions for me in the engineering world, and I'm thankful for it at times. But I don't want it interfering with my visuals, and I don't want false frames and things like that. And it's tough, man. It's a tough. Where do we draw the line? You know, and we're battling a company like NVIDIA. We're never going to win. And Unreal Engine's doing the same thing. So it's a tough market. It's well above my experience. It's well above what I know. So
put a comment and put a comment in here if you know more about it than we do. But I mean,
please.
I think the 5090 and the 4090 are going to come out on the 30th of this month or something, like the 29th or 30th, right at the end of the month. Will be your ability, and I've seen that the SKUs already kind of showing up on Best Buy, and the SKUs already showing up on Micro Center. But it's more expensive.
Do you remember 3ds Max? Do you remember 3ds Max, like the old like benchmarking software?
Yeah.
And you rendered like how many frames you actually rendered. We need to go back to that system. Right. I don't want AI to tell me how frames are rendered. Don't get me wrong. You look at games like Cyberpunk; they're beautiful. But I, as somebody who can speak to this, I turn DLSS off in every game I play. I want a true performance metric.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, because I think if you want to play if you don't want to play anything competitive and you just want to putz around or play a single player game, I think that's all fine and good. But I worry about how AI rendered things are going to. I mean, you're not rendering the bullet. The impact of the hit is computational in the game, and then it would have to
but it
render.
affects your perception of it. It affects your perception of it, right? Like because if you get delta renders and all of a sudden the guy's not in the place you thought he was, but the server's like, well, technically, mathematically, this is where the guy was, that's going to make you feel different. You know, interpolation. So we have client and server side interpolation. And we have lag compensation and server hit validation. So our game and that method of entry, our server looks back in time. It actually takes the lag, the whole round trip time, your latency. It takes that. It takes how long the server took to render the image in the computation. It takes how long your client took, both clients. And it looks back in time because we capture about 5 to 1,000 snapshots of each player in the server. About 1,000 snapshots of each player of the server as they're moving.
Right.
We look back in that scale and we go, hey, wait a minute. Player A said they shot player B. Did they actually do that? The server goes back and looks, and it goes, well, actually, player A was buying a box, or player B was buying a box, but it didn't look like that on player A. But realistically, he was not there, and the time, whatever, blah blah blah. So we say no, that hit's not valid.
Right.
And if you have images being rendered that make it seem like that, you're going to feel like that's unfair to you.
Sure.
But we're using math. We're using algorithms and math and computation to determine if that hit's valid. I don't want that to feel off base. You know what I mean? I don't want that to feel off base. But it has to be fair. We're talking about e-sport. We're talking about this modern sports.
The only way you're going to know is you're going to have to use this, and you're going to have to play it, and you're going to have to see how it feels. Like it's like Damon said, it's more of a it's not so much data as much as it's perception. It's like when you play this game on this kind of card, how does it feel? Does it feel accurate? Does it feel fair? And that's gonna drive a lot of the change in the game, because I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if we have a way around that, because people are going to buy that card.
Well, we can lock the systems, right? So we can lock DLSS off and stuff, but like people are going to look for that, right? Because in esports games, you want the maximum frame rate you can get. And, but I want to give you that naturally. I want to have the maximum frame rate naturally.
Right. So that's why we're doing not the proof of concept, but we're making the regular, the other version is basically just to just do all the little tweaks you can to get better performance out of the client.
I guess just be patient with us, because we're learning the systems firsthand, and we're trying to work around them as well. And none of us are masters of 3D development and engineering. Like that's that people go to school for that, right? The whole careers in geometry and stuff. So we're learning, but we're also, I hate to say it, but we're also beholden to the engine.
Right. You are. You play by their rules.
Yeah, I've made comments every time. So maybe we should have done Unity, or maybe we should have used Source or whatever, right? And can't go back now. We spent 2 years developing Unreal, and Unreal has its own limitations and things. And so, but you know what, guys? I want to say this. If Method Entry comes out and you love it, I promise you the next product we release, whatever that game may be, because we got games in the works, we got so many ideas in the works, the next game will always be better than the first for us. I refuse, as the CPO, I refuse to release a product that's not better than the previous product. So you're not going to get EA out of us. We're always going to work to do better. And but yeah, if you
means Electronic Arts,
please
not early access.
Reach out. Yeah. Early access. Thank you. Hate to follow that train, but we have to. Yeah.
But I mean, so much stuff has been happening in the world. I mean,
shit.
Last time we had a podcast, we didn't have the Trump victory. We didn't have California wasn't on fire. I mean, there was all
Luigi
this stuff
Mangione.
Yeah,
that's my new Tarkov name, 2-Tap Mangione. By the way.
Oh no.
It's Tarkov, guys. You got to have kind of a somewhat offensive nickname in Tarkov.
You do.
That's crazy in itself. Have you seen his lawyer, by the way?
No.
What's her name? Can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she's phenomenal. It's like she rocked the mayor in like their preemptive hearing or whatever.
His lawyer?
Yeah, she was like, the perp walk was completely against his constitutional right. Like absolutely rocked the prosecution. Like that guy's going to get off. I hate to say it. I mean, I don't hate to say it because I don't know. Doc, that's a good question for you, man. Medical industry, insurance. How do you feel about the whole Luigi Mangione thing?
I am very much disheartened with the amount of people who can and will justify what happened.
Really?
Yes. I don't think that the health system isn't FUBAR'd. It is. And the insurance system is FUBAR'd. But the problem is that we don't live in a society where people get to make these decisions and become basically a vigilante and say, I'm just going to kill whoever I disagree with, because obviously something bad happened to him and his family. I would assume that somebody like maybe died, they couldn't get the right health care. And this is what makes people like snap. And I get it.
Sure.
And I get the frustration is real. We live in a society where we're not allowed to just take the law into my own hands. You can't just do that. You're not
Yeah.
Batman, although Batman doesn't kill people. I mean, you can't just go and
Yes, he does.
like shoot somebody. I mean, this guy is a smart guy. He was like an Ivy League student. He 3D printed his own gun.
If you think he did it.
So you don't think he did it?
I don't think Luigi Mangione specifically did. I think he's a fall guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you
It
think
doesn't
that?
add up, dude. It doesn't add up. The way he did it out, there's no way. And if you look at no.
Well,
And he talks about a successful back surgery and all sorts of stuff. But I mean, okay, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Think about how, as somebody who's had United Healthcare in the past,
Mhm.
and I've been lucky because I've had great healthcare coverage through my companies.
Sure.
But think about how many times they've denied stuff. Look at Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're
Sure.
denying anesthesia times. As a
Oh,
doctor,
that was ridiculous.
you think you know more than a health insurance company?
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. We know more.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So if a doctor goes, "Hey, my patient needs X, Y, and Z," the health insurance company goes, "Well, I don't know, bro. I think you should do half that first. Maybe you should poke him with a stick." Do you think that's not frustrating?
That is
I
frustrating.
mean, what do you
I
do?
think-
What as the minor man? What's your retaliation towards a large company like that? You can only
Well,
push
I mean-
the small guy so much, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think that there's a two-prong problem with this. One is that in one case there's an argument to be made that people should be the health insurance companies should be a little bit more focused
Regulated, controlled.
on what they're doing, because people are starting to get pissed to where people are starting to act out, right? So, but in the same respect, you don't want the insurance companies to make these changes, because if they make these changes, then it shows that his actions affected the change. So who's to say, like, the next thing that people are pissed off of, they can just go shoot somebody, and then guess what? We'll change. And then
But
it's
hold on.
almost like a martial law.
Do you think
Just-
the health insurance companies ever make those changes unless they thought, well, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't fucking piss off the little guy?
I think they
One
will
of my-
make those changes. Some
One of
changes.
my favorite quotes are, "Votes don't change governments, bullets do." Think about history. Think
That's
about
true.
every major change in history. Was it done politically or was it done revolutionary? World War II, World War I, all that stuff. I mean, those were all massive conflict scales that changed the world. And it wasn't
They
done
were.
because guys got together and said, well, we should do right by humanity.
That's true. That is true.
Again, guys, first of all, I'm not advocating for murder, by the way. I'm not don't go out and shoot people.
Society, like, there's a lot of people who are like very willing to go out and just kill people versus
Well, I
maybe
mean,
200 years ago.
You're a man. Hold on, let me ask you this. You're a man, right? I have a family, you have a family.
I am a man.
How far
yeah, I
would you
hope so.
go to make sure your family's protected? How far would you go to make sure your family was safe and sound?
Oh, you would go to
If
any.
somebody wronged your family-
You'd go to any degree.
What?
Any
Hold on.
degree that you needed to.
We can edit this out later, but I remember asking Doc, I'm like, somebody hurt your daughter. What was the things you do? Because you're a doctor and you know the human
Right.
body better than a
Right.
soldier. I don't know the human body like you do. Actually, before we get into this, my lady told me a story about a woman who murdered her husband with succinylcholine.
Yeah.
She
How'd they catch
murdered him-
that?
She injected him with succinylcholine, then lit him on fire.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That's cruel. Because
That's cruel.
because
That's
because
what I said.
succinylcholine does not numb you. It
No, it
just
makes you
paralyzes you.
move. Yeah.
You can't move. So you can't
But you're telling
respond to
me-
it, but you're screaming on the inside and you just can't. That's
So-
horrifying.
Have you seen the movie Law Abiding
No,
Citizen?
I haven't.
Oh my God, you have to watch it. So his family's murdered. His wife is R-worded and everything in the beginning scene. And this guy's whole life is like, they go through the justice system. The guy gets like 4 years in prison. And he's like, that's not enough. You murdered my family. You did horrible things. So he goes through this whole system. He buys like a warehouse. You got to watch it. He buys a warehouse. I'm pretty sure he uses some paralytic from a pufferfish or something. And the main
Right.
guy that did it, our Derby or something, he
The
paralyzes him.
neurotoxin.
And literally, he literally pulls his finger, like cuts his ding dong off, all sorts of stuff while he's paralyzed. You can't tell me somebody hurt your family that, as a doctor, that you wouldn't make sure that he felt every wrath possible
You would
for
want
doing
to.
the whole.
Yes.
You
would
want to, but as a man, you have a limit, right? I don't know, and I apologize,
You're
guys.
supposed
We're
to.
talking hypothetical here, right?
You're supposed to have a limit. Yes. I know. These are tough conversations, but I think that I'm just like, I just get nervous when I see like social media saying like they have pictures of him as a saint. There's halos over his head. He's got angel wings on. They're posting his face over Jesus. You know,
hearts and minds requires prior auth. My sympathies out of network.
Right. So it's like I understand that all that shows is that people don't like how the healthcare system, insurance system is. That's what that means. I don't think it means that everybody's going to go out and shoot somebody, but thinking that the answer is to kill the CEO to fix things in a society that is supposed to be civil and law abiding, that's scary to me.
It is scary.
Don't you agree? I mean, that's
I
scary.
agree. But I think the problem here, and again, I'm a capitalistic man. I'm a businessman. I am white collar. So I get this. I used to do day trading. I get it. There's a system to be played, and it's tough to play it. But I can understand while the average man thinks like, hey, I can't play this game. I'm going to play the game I know to play, which is with their hands physically, right? So I understand that. But there is a current state in America. I don't want to blame any administration for this, right? I want to be politically neutral here, but there is a play in America. Look at the 2008 housing crisis. I mean, literally, that was fraudulent. There was a law enacted that prevented banks from making these kind of like Vegas-like bets, right?
Right.
Don't get me started on CDOs, collateralized debt obligations. The fact that we were making faux assets off, like, what do you think options are, right?
Right.
Like, trillions of dollars, and these guys knew that they were just gonna get bought out from it. They ruined millions of Americans' lives because they made bad investments. And the couple of people who betted against the housing market made billions of dollars. You should watch what's it called? The Big Short or something like that. With Ryan Gosling and the dude from Office Space.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know, think about the mortgage stuff. But as a layman, how do you defend against that? You lost your home, you lost your family, you lost your job, you lost your life. What's your retaliatory response? How do you get your life back? You just let people rob you and you walk away? If somebody walked to your house right now and robbed you of your life, what would you do? Like, that's I think that's what the basic man thinks, right? The layman man thinks.
Right. Yeah.
So anyways, Trump in Greenland.
Trump wants to financially pressure Canada to join the U.S.
Well, okay. First of all, I'm in a tough spot with Trump because I have women in my life who care about their women's rights, and I respect that. So for the record, I get that there's some weight there. However, I am a conservative individual, fiscally conservative, social libertarian. I'm just going to make that clear. I believe people do whatever they want. Just want to make that clear. You want to do whatever you want, that's fine. Pay your taxes. I don't care. However, I do have some respect for Trump because he does bring a lot of that strong arm back to America. And I'm excited to see, because the world is like freaking out by it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He threatened Hezbollah. He's like, listen, if you don't fucking release the hostage time and get in office, I'm going to turn the Middle East into a glass bowl. And like, people believe that, right? So,
right.
I don't know. In Canada too.
That's what people need to believe. I think with any leader of any country, not just the United States because we live here, but like you have to have a certain degree of like, is this guy serious kind of attitude, because you don't want to be walked all over. And I think, no, if you're going to be, as my mom would say, a salami, you're going to be, and we put out a lot of money to help a lot of people.
Yes.
Right. And
it's good to have somebody that's scary. It's good to have somebody that's scary, because you think about these countries out there who like don't, no offense to, again, if you voted for Biden or Harris, I respect your decision, by the way. I respect your view on the world. I get it. We all have different perspectives, and mine is wrong in some ways and yours is wrong in some ways. That's fine. I respect that. But I do like the fact that people go, well, maybe we shouldn't poke that bear, because I'll tell you what, as somebody who spent time in the American military, we will fuck you up. We are so good at what we do. We're not a hearts and minds military. Let me just make that straight. We failed Afghanistan because we tried to win hearts and minds. But if you want to have a traditional conflict with us, we will wipe you off the map. So don't push that button. And that's scary because you got China now, the whole BRICS system. You got the whole stuff in Israel and Gaza. And I don't care where you lie on that. I have my own opinions. We don't have to talk about it, but we need peace. And sometimes I hate to say it, but peace comes with a strong arm. I don't think peace comes naturally.
A lot of times it does. I agree. But I mean, people think twice at times to mess with China. They think twice at times to mess with Russia, right? Because they don't know. They can't read their leader enough to know like, if they're full of shit. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think, Trump's already put some threats out to a bunch of different people already.
I think do you see Canada's response? Like a good chunk of Canada's like, oh, let's come on over. Our dollar sucks. We'll come to these states.
Right.
Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, their dollar already their Canadian dollar already lost like 48 or 60% of its value or something like that. But, then, Trudeau just resigned.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
nobody should be prime minister for 9 years, by the way. Let's just be fair. Nobody should be prime minister.
I guess they have a thing. I think he was the second longest running prime minister in Canada's history or something like that. He's up there. I wonder
how England feels about it. We're like, hey, we're going to make Canada the 51st state. England's like, wait a minute, homie. We own that territory, dog. Wait a minute. Well, same with Greenland, right? So like the Dutch government's like, go fuck yourself. We're not giving you Greenland.
Right.
But then Greenland has their ability to be emancipated, right? That's their whole thing, right? They have the independence right. So now they're talking independence. The world is so weird. And yeah, the Trump hotel bombing. What was the guy in New Orleans that drove through with the ISIS flag? What is happening in this world? But
see, this is why the people are a lot more, I feel that people are a lot more prone to like do crazy shit than they used to be. That's why I worry about the shooting of the CEO. It's like,
well, the world's tough right now, man. I mean, there's a guy on TikTok I watch, and he talks about how like getting started in America is like it's the balance, the scales are flipped now. Back in the 80s and the 90s, getting started in America was reasonable. It was easy. You could get a home, you could get a car, you could get a job, you could pay for these things, but now you can't. So I think people are retaliating because we live in a nickel and dime society. And again, as a capitalistic man, I get it. But I have a different capitalistic view than modern capitalism. I think that like if I have, rather than selling all my cows, I'll make milk and sell my milk. And then when my cows get old, I'll sell my cows and buy new cows. Fine. But that doesn't hurt the market. Sure. We live in this whole venture capitalist system now, and that's a different world. And so I understand why people are upset, but I think we can do it differently than murder. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think that's the way it has to be done.
But healthcare companies are changing, though. Let's just be honest.
But that's like bad because like, now they'll change and then people are like, all right, you see, we shot somebody and something happened. So that's what you have to do. I don't want people to have that mindset.
Think about every time something changed in the world. Was it not done through conflict?
Yeah, but now like the average Joe's just going to shoot. We're just going to shoot whoever we don't like chronically.
I mean,
that's
to be
not
fair,
good.
I watched the uncensored video of him doing that. I don't think he was as skilled as everybody made him sound like to be an assassin. He definitely had conviction. He had conviction. I'll give him that.
He was like 4 feet away from him. They're 5 feet away from him.
You could tell he could tell you to think his weapon out because the suppressor affected the gas of the weapon. So he had to continually cycle the weapon to get it to actually fire. He did it calmly. Sure, he did it with conviction. He knew what he wanted to do, but he could tell if you were a true, like a sufficient, you knew how to work your weapon system. You would know that the suppressor you have would affect the gas of the weapon is too heavy for the barrel. The recoil would be offset, right? Like you would know these things. So like he wasn't a trained assassin, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's crazy to think about. But I mean, come on, anesthesia. Can you imagine somebody telling you, doc, hey, if you can't do your job in 30 minutes, we're not going to pay for it. What would you think as a doctor?
I know. That's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes it's harder. Sometimes there's complications. And to say like, okay, well, all gallbladders take this much anesthesia, so that's what we're paying for. And if you decide that you need more, we're not paying for it. Like it's
Aren't
crazy.
You frustrated by that? Aren't you frustrated?
Very
you have to deal with that on the regular, by the way?
No, see, I don't really see it in my job, my line of work, because I'm a hospital employee. I don't deal with the insurance. I get paid the same amount of money if no one comes in or 1 billion people come in. So there's really no difference. So if I was in private practice, I think that would be a bigger deal for me because obviously, Yeah, I mean, obviously, you are trying to put money, you put food on your table by your work, and if who wants a job where every year they tell you you're going to make less than you did the year
It's
before,
true.
and
It's
that's a tough situation. That's why I never told my kids to go into medicine.
It's funny you say that because I read this story about a guy who went to medical school at 33, and now I'm generally thinking about it.
You're thinking about it? Don't
Yeah,
do it.
I have actually. No, why?
Don't do it.
You're gonna hire me, right? Come on, hire me. I'll be a great
We'll
ER
hire you.
doctor with you.
You'll
We'll
be
have a
great
great
ER doc.
time.
Yeah. By the time
Be
you
the
get your
worst ER
residency, how
doctor.
old are you now? You're
I'm
30
33.
what? 33.
I'll be 40. I'll be 40 by the time I get into a hospital job, right?
Well, you don't even know if you have enough classes to even the right classes in college to get into medical school.
Well, this story, I'll send it to you after this stuff. He dropped out of high school, GED, went into IT, hit 33, decided he wanted to go to medical school, went to medical school, got his stuff as MD. I don't want to be an MD. I would do a DO.
Uh-huh.
I got to follow you. I got to be a DO. I got to follow you.
There you go. There you go.
I want
Yeah.
the money sounds great though.
It's you know what that's the problem, and I was talking to my wife about this the other day. The way I've seen society and jobs and opportunity and promotions and all that sort of thing is that once you get to a certain level, any degree of extra money is a lot more work than the money probably is worth.
Seriously.
Would you agree with that?
Seriously.
So it's like,
Yeah. Even in my field.
so like some of these things to get these promotions, like they expect you, like when I was a medical director, right? So I didn't have to work as much clinically, but then like I was always in front of a spreadsheet. I was always writing a PowerPoint. I was at a school doing a lecture. I was at a dinner. I was at an ambassadors club talking to people who had lots of money and why they should donate to the hospital. I mean, they own your ass, right? And it's like, and I missed a lot of my daughter's stuff because I had other engagements that I had to do, or and then with my job as an ER doctor, there's nights, there's weekends, there's holidays, and I couldn't be the baseball coach for my kids, right? Because I don't have that kind of lifestyle. So there is a payoff. So now if you see what I did with moving to PA, like I'm just trying to reduce my overhead.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to worry about the money as much because I don't have to pay as much. And
that's the whole thing with ADS, right? The whole thing with ADS is to get our salaries so we can be comfortable.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I mean, the same in my field. I mean, I hate to say this, but the doctors are the number one burnout in the world, by the way. I'm pretty sure statistically doctors have the number one burnout, but close to doctors is actually software engineers.
Really?
Being an engineer of any kind is burnout. Yeah. And like, I want to go up the distinguished principal line and I'd see what our principal engineers have to do. And I'm like, they work like 100-hour weeks. They work over the weekend. I'm seeing them like post status messages over the weekend. And I'm like, that's like, you got to have your weekends, at least have your weekends, but you don't. When your whole job is to make sure that the product your company makes is being built right. When you're a multi-billion-dollar industry, like the one I work for in the medical field, you don't get any time off. You don't get any time off. You got 40 teams underneath you and they're all doing shit. And you have to make sure they're doing shit right. Cool.
Yeah.
You make $400,000 a year, but like, is it worth it?
Right. Well, it's like, it's not worth making all that money if you don't get to enjoy your life at all. Because what's the point? You just and I actually I was talking to another guy recently who was a lawyer, and he was saying, I'm like, when are your days off? And he said, I don't really take any days off. He goes, I work every day. I said, weekends, holidays? He goes, yep, I'm always in emails, always working. And he goes, I just went on vacation though in California. And I'm like, well, how many emails did you have when you got back? And he's like, none. I'm like, how's that possible? He goes, because I got up 2 hours earlier than the rest of my family every day.
Yep.
And I worked 2 hours just to get that done. He said, otherwise I would easily have over 750 emails that I had to answer when I come back.
How many holidays have you worked recently?
I don't know. I have to look it up. Why? We usually work about half on average. The last 5 Christmases I've worked through them. Thanksgiving and Christmas, I worked through them at the dinner table with a laptop. See, that's not fun.
No, it sucks.
That's not fun.
And I'm not making a doctor's salary either. Let me just be fair with the world.
I was on
Don't get into
call.
software.
I was on call at Christmas, which means that I couldn't drink and I had to possibly get called in, but luckily we didn't. I worked New Year's, I worked Labor Day, I worked Memorial Day for last year.
For the record, guys,
into this
ADS
year.
will be closed all of those days. We'll be closed every bank holiday.
Yeah.
If you work for ADS, we'll make sure you get every holiday.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. I would love right now at my point in my life, I'm looking for ways to work smarter, not harder. And I used to say this, and I sound like a brat when I say this at work,
No.
but I say it to my wife. I'm like,
I
I
don't
didn't
think so.
work hard to work hard. And I don't mean I want to be lazy, but it means that I don't want to spend every day in my life getting
Yes.
absolutely destroyed at work
Yes.
every day I go in. It's like,
Yes.
that's, everybody has busy days or, that's fine. But if that is expected to be the norm of what your life would be like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
like that.
I don't like it either. Honestly, that's why I got in this field. I worked my whole career thinking that if I got to the top, my life would be easier. Except I quickly realized the more money you make, the more responsibility you have, and the more time
Right.
you don't have to be free.
Right. More money, more problems. And it's real. So my wife was, she's going to be up for a promotion, most likely. And it looks like she'll either be an associate director or a director of a program. And I said, make sure you want to do that. And if you're going to do it, you better really negotiate a
Yep.
really good salary, because their expectations of you are going to
Yep.
exponentially change, but your salary is not going to exponentially change.
No.
So
No.
you will eventually be, maybe you'll have to travel more. Maybe you'll have to be giving up weekends or,
Yep.
but you want to make that extra 18% extra salary, then you're going to put in 60% more work for 18% of benefit. So
I'm going through that right now. Actually, my company split our team in half, and now my job has been running teams, and
Uh-huh.
I'm the lead technical advisor for my whole team. And half my day is looking at other people's code, and I have my own tasks to get done. I'm still the top performer on my team, but I'm the top performer because I don't look away from my computer for 8 hours. I don't take a lunch. I get up, hit our first meeting. I'm up an hour before a meeting, get prepped for a meeting. I hit all our meetings, and then after all our meetings, I still have a full day's worth of work to do.
right.
And make
Yeah.
sure other people's work gets through the code review chain, because they rely on me to tell them if they're doing something wrong or not. And the pressure of that alone sucks, because it's like, I look at 25 code reviews a day. You know how easy it is to miss a misspelling or a programmatic mistake that just happened to seep on Pi. And then you think about, okay, that gets on Pi, that goes through the release. Then we release it out to, 45,000 offices. Now, if we have an Excel call rate, they're going to go, hey, man, why did that get by you? You're like, I don't know, because I looked at fucking 1,000 lines of code today and I'm a human being. They don't like that answer.
No, they don't. They like infallible. That's what they like.
It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
So I have to, So anyways, pick your jobs wisely. Money's not about everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, we were talking about living in Italy and in the Netherlands, right? I think there's some precedent to say, hey, you work to live, but not live to work. And
Right.
we're figuring that out late in life.
And just think about this. Think about something really, really simply. If you save, with my situation with taxes, right? I went from paying 24/7, almost $25,000 a year in taxes, to paying, here it's 11,000. So
That's an
I'm
income.
saving. I know I'm saving $13,000 to $14,000 a year in taxes, right? But if that was a salary increase, right, that would be almost a $20,000 raise, right? Because you get the taxes taken out of that. So
Yep.
you don't, and that's the other thing. You get it. You go, oh, I'm going to be a director. I'm going to make $25,000 more money. No, you're not. You're going to make
10,000
16.
after taxes.
You're going to
Yeah.
make 12, $13,000 or $14,000 more money, or $15,000 more money, because you're going to give half of that to the government. So that's your real raise. But if you save money, that's tax free. So all the $15,000 I saved, that's all in my pocket. And that's I made $23,000 extra dollars in a raise, but I didn't have to do any extra work. So
We
that's
can,
why it's work
no, go
smarter,
ahead,
not
finish.
harder. No, I mean, that's the whole reasoning behind it.
Hopefully that Trump bill he passed in recently about abolishing IRS and income tax. You see that?
I didn't see that.
I'll send it to you. It's House
Send
bill
it to me,
something. I
yeah.
know it's not going to happen because
Yeah.
there's people who
They
need
need
that.
that.
But
Yeah.
God, could you imagine no income tax?
It's gonna be an interesting 4 years. There's gonna be some
It is.
conflicts. They're gonna ruffle
is.
some feathers.
I may be watching it from a Dutch coast. So
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, you might have to come rescue me. If there's
You're going to
problems.
Italy, dog. You're going to go to the home.
Yeah.
It's my home country too. I'm Italian just as you are.
Where's
My
that?
mother
I would
talks about
love
it
to
all
go.
the time. The home country.
Oh, so nice. I could sit there and sell oranges at the roadside or lemons. That'd be great.
Be an Italian doctor. You could smoke cigarettes.
Give me a
and
lemon
prescribe
cart.
birth
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. Smoke cigarettes and sell lemons. And birth control on the side.
Alrighty, guys.
All right,
It has
guys.
been 2 hours. We gave the extra 30 minutes. We're sorry for the delay. Please check out Method of Entry.
Absolutely.
Please come by. We're going to start converting. I think the podcast can start converting into a mix of the game
Sure.
and us and everything in the middle. But
We'll
I don't
try
know,
to
we're gonna
have
experience
we'll
it
try
as
to
well.
have some Method of Entry stuff on every podcast. I think, maybe next time we'll have some gameplay or something like that.
Yes.
We'll have something interesting. Tune in, subscribe to this. We're all on social media with Method of Entry too. I mean, you can. There's the Twitter page. There's the Instagram page. There's a TikTok page. There's Facebook. I mean, basically, just about all of the social medias you can see stuff. And then, of course, the Discord. As I said, on the Discord will get linked down below. So join up, talk to us, hit us up, and we will talk to you soon.
Yep.
Happy
Yes,
2025.
please.
All right,
happy
guys.
Happy 2025. Happy, guys. Happy. No
Happy.
shooting CEOs.
Yeah, don't shoot anybody. All right. Till next time.